Hello everyone, this is akathecoot with a Jax Jungle ranked game, mostly for beginners. Jax is a very unique character in the sense that he has a real strong ability to come out of the jungle and make an immediate presence in the game. Unlike some brawlers in the game, he can definitely close the gap and doesn't find himself getting kited as much. He also has the ability to jump out of a fight with a move that I will explain in just a second. Jax's first move, his Q, is his leap strike, which he leaps to a target and does AP and AD damage, which scales quite well actually. It has low mana cost, so you'll be using that a lot to initiate fights. His W is called Empower. It's where he charges his weapon and his next strike will do additional damage based on AP, it scales with AP. His E is Counter Strike. It spins his stick up in the air for 2 seconds, and you can cancel that when you'd like, or you can let it go the full extent, but when it's done, it stuns the enemy. So when you spin the stick, if you click it immediately, it'll stun them right then. If you let it go, it'll stun them at the end of that, but for that time, you take 25% less damage from incoming attacks. That's a very, very helpful move because normally you jump in and then would stun them. His ult makes it so that every time you hit your third time, you do additional damage. Plus, if you actually use it, it will give you a bit of a armor boost as well as an ability power boost. Or, excuse me. Yep, armor and magic resistance is what it gives you. So you see here real quick though, we go for Teemo. We don't get a good thing, but we push him out of lane. That's alright. That's how that goes sometimes. So, we'll move on to another place here. And just a quick heads up, according to most, Jax's counters are Malphite, Nunu, and Kennen. So, if you see them top lane, maybe he's not the best person to pick. But I don't usually believe that because good players beat bad players. If you're better than somebody, you're definitely going to beat them regardless. So, as you can see here, I go in and start clearing the jungle like I normally would. So while I'm clearing this jungle, this is a good time to talk about the fact that his third strike does additional damage. This is important because you want to set this up to where you can either initiate a fight with this or do something with it a lot of the time. Here you can see I jump in, stun Teemo, and we just go to absolute town on him. He can't get away from Fizz at this point, there's just no way, so we're set up real nice. Fizz lets me get that kill, which helps me great in the jungle. But you can see, once you get caught by Jax, it's hard to get away from him. He's definitely the kind of person that can lock you down and keep you there. But like I was saying, his third strike is really, really important, because not only can you build items and stack that, it can really, really make a huge difference in the game because you go from doing regular brawler damage to making it to when your third strike happens, it's a real big deal. So just keep in mind the possibilities you can do with that. Here I flash in, stun Teemo right away, and me and Fizz go right back to work on him. He gets his Ignite off, and we get another kill on Teemo. Teemo apparently decided that this game he was going to let us completely roll on them, so it is what it is. Sometimes that happens, and when it does, take full advantage of it. You can see to use his counter, you're going to want to hit it early. That way when you jump in, you can use it. There I'm a little too early on it, but you want that to be what happens immediately when you get into the team fight. That's what that's definitely for. Also, it has a pretty decent cooldown. All of his moves don't have that long of a cooldown. That's why you'll see a lot of people building him with a little bit of cooldown reduction because his skill set is so versatile in a team fight that there you can see again. She jumped in a little too close and definitely paid for it. There's no reason she should have been that close, and Vayne ended up eating it real good. So at this point, I'm turning into good game Jax, and it's going to be real hard to stop me, but that's how that goes. Your build is going to be pretty simple from the get-go. I build into, the Hunter's Machete. You can choose whether you want to do damage or a little more sustain. I choose to do a little more sustain, get a little armor, because I want to be a little tanky versus a Nautilus. Nautilus isn't a non-factor in this game. He is showing face and coming around, so I want to be able to counter him. But build into the Bilgewater most times, which builds into the Blade of the Rune King. You can pick up a Zephyr. Trinity Force is a great item for Jax. It works perfectly with him. It also has the, after using an ability, the next basic attack deals bonus damage equal to 150% of the attack damage on hit, which means that if you hit 2 minions and you set up your Counter-Strike move where you're going to be stunning them, or you jump onto them even, and you have your third strike, that's going to do a crazy amount of damage. You will absolutely melt people. So Jax is a lot of fun to play because of these things, but you know, if you can get those things off, get them off. You can see, so to speak, you can see me right there taking out Vayne again. She just doesn't have a chance. She doesn't have the damage, and like I said, I got a little extra health, so I can take those chances. So back to the build real quick. Blade of the Rune King is a really great item, especially with all the patches that have been coming out. You'll hear everybody rave about it. It's not for no reason. That's an item that you're going to want to get in most situations, actually. So I try to pick that up as soon as I can. And as always, you want to turn your jungling items into the best thing they can. It's worth the little amount of gold to max those things out situationally into whatever jungling item you want towards the end. Here you can see, start out with the spin, and that Nautilus can't go anywhere. He wastes his flash to get away, and I'll let him get away. I used my ult there because I kind of thought that maybe we'd dive him and I'd soak up some of the tower damage, but not the case. Either way, you can see complete and total lane domination here. He can't stay in here because he knows as soon as we see him, we're going to take this tower out and get him. But that's the kind of presence that Jax brings into the fight. You'll hear me rave about Vi because she's definitely my favorite jungler, but Jax he can be absolutely brutal to play against. If you play against a good Jax, you'll remember it for a while. Here you can see there's somebody up here who's out of position. He lets me get way too close to him, and we go ahead and put the work on him. There's just really, outside of that good play he had right there where he got away a little bit, there's no way to get away from me. You can save the stun and go in with it later, or you can initiate it right away. Jax also is very naturally tanky. See, Nautilus there doesn't have a chance, especially when I'm dropping the illest jukes you've ever seen. You're definitely going to want to rewind that one. That's one of my favorite jukes. As always in the jungle, if you're not doing anything else, clear out the lane, but don't do it to a point where you think you'll die. As soon as that Kassadin starts coming in, just get out of there. There's no reason to be there. Now that you made it this far into the video, I suppose I should tell you the masteries are definitely at the end, like they'll always be in all of my videos. That was a real good play on Teemo's part. He got right out of that stun that I was trying to lay down on him, but couldn't get away from Fizz. Fizz is definitely fed, and with that Ignite, Teemo's just out there buffet style feeding at this point. And don't be afraid, as a newer player, ping that dragon. If you guys feel like you have enough ward coverage or you have enough presence to where you can steal the dragon, don't be afraid to go in there and grab that thing. That's global money, and that helps out a bunch. I'm sure you can guess what's going to happen to Vayne here. She doesn't have much of a chance, even though she does a lot of fancy stuff here. At this point, I'm like, you know what? You don't get to get away. You know what? Everybody makes mistakes. I end up getting the Vayne like I said I would, but that tower had other ideas for me, so be aware of the tower, how much health it has. Be aware of the health that the enemy champions have, and be aware that it is better not to die than to get a kill. That's a hard mindset to get into. I find myself still falling victim to it, but staying alive is the most important part of this game. If you can go the whole game without dying and you only get 3 kills, guess what? You probably helped your team more than if you would have had 6 kills. Here's a pretty interesting thing. This Vayne has one of 2 choices, and I go top for a reason. I send her down on that bush and I force her. She's either going to take the tower hit and get killed, or she's going to try and go the opposite way and let me get the kill. But, I mean, at that point, let her make the decision. You don't got anything else to do. She wants to run into the bush. She doesn't have a way to get out of the bush, so wait for her to make the choice that leads to her death. Here you can see the DPS that Jax lays down. Every time that 3rd hit comes out, it's a good chunk of health taken off. Like I said, that's what Jax is about. Going in, getting away, and laying down some serious damage. Also, his move, the leap strike, you can target your own minions with that. So in other words, you can use that as a Lee Sin style escape from a lot of different situations. If you're in over your head, you can jump right out of the situation with no problem if you got a lane of incoming minions. I'd like to point out here that I never said that I was a pro, and I am definitely not diamond ranked, so me taking tower hits like that is something that me and you both are probably going to have to go through over the course of our LOL experience. I know I preach it a lot, but if you're not doing anything else, get back in that jungle. Stay relevant. Falling behind in levels doesn't do anybody any favors. Once again, look at Jax. Moves are up, my cooldowns are all refreshing, and there's just no way for them to get away. Nautilus, however, is extremely tanky at this point, and I was going to die for that, but as you can see, that's one of those ranked victories you wish you'd had every single time. This is akathecoot. Stay tuned for the masteries, and subscribe and like if you'd like. And at the bottom left, if you'd like to check out my Minecraft tournament, we had a medieval tournament, and me and the people who played it think it's hilarious, so check that out. Thanks a bunch. Take care, everybody.